Happy Tuesday night, everyone. This is Dr. Marina Mangano going through another yoga pose to help find a safe and step-by-step process to get into a stabilized form of splits. So split pose or full splits. We're going to start with showing modifications to warm up and prepare the body for such a flexible pose. In my mind, the most successful way to prepare for a split posture is to not only warm up and stretch, but actually to strengthen and stabilize the midline of the body. So your extremities are things that come off the center line, the midline of the core. Your legs, for example, for a split, can only get flexible and open up until their maximum length if you have stable hips, you have a stable pelvic floor, and your brain knows how to use those muscles to create a strong foundation that allows your legs to relax. Without that strong foundation, your hamstrings will never open up, your adductor muscles will never open up because your brain doesn't want you to go past a safe range of motion. So in addition to your home lifting program to strengthen the glutes, the core, the pelvic floor, any type of pushing sensation is really going to prep you for when you come to yoga to get into these postures. In an actual yoga class though, this is how I would teach breaking into splits. Throughout our sequence, we're going to practice a lot of half splits. So either flexing the toe or pointing the toe, staying high and practicing flicking your sitting bones that way. So instead of rounding through the back, having your tailbone tucked, the hip hinge is deep, the sitting bones are working towards the back of the mat, my torso is long and straight, my gaze is looking down. We are sucking the leg back into the core, telling the brain we're safe, we know where the hip is, you can relax the back body and the hamstring. One way to help the muscles from tightening up right away is to add a dynamic expression into this. So inhale, exhale, fold. Inhale, open, exhale, fold. So instead of going to your depth right away and freaking the brain out to protect itself, you inch into it, you teach the brain that we're safe, please let us bend, please let us bend, please let us bend, please let us bend. And so you'll find new barriers of motion at each step. So after half splits, we're going to come into a low runner's lunge and practice the split motion, but with protection of our feet while we're feeling buoyant and the arches are activated to help us lift and activate muscles. So in this posture, you can have blocks on both sides. We are practicing the motion that we'll need in split of pulling both limbs inward toward each other. So often when you get into split, we roll open just to be able to push our hips down as deep as possible. That squared pelvis is what's going to keep you the most safe in that full expression. So practicing this, we never practice in an open posture. Square the hips and push through the foot and this back leg. So you can see me lift as I activate the inner arch, the inner thighs on both sides, and I'm sucking my femurs back towards the pelvic floor. Practicing that posture, holding it, and relax. You could probably get a little bit more depth each time you do it. So squaring through the hips, pushing up and in, pulling the femurs inward toward you. Once you're feeling strong and activated, your brain knows where those muscles are and the safe movement is. You've warmed up through half splits, a flowing sequence of standing splits or L stand. We're working our way into the full expression. Using blocks at both sides, even if you have this full range, heel toe yourself back and keep the blocks close to your spine. Maybe wiggling the foot or whatever you need to do to get to that first, okay, this feels a little uncomfortable. Make sure you're squaring the pelvis, so right leg comes back towards you, left leg goes forward towards the front of the mat. Both hip points are facing front of the mat. Look behind you, make sure that leg's not going out to the side. Get on top of the kneecap. So meaning if you bent the leg, you're not right on the patella, you're just a little above it. So if you need to tuck the toes, lengthen, check to see if the kneecap feels safe. Squaring through the hips, now we're gonna add that contract and relax to tell the brain we're safe. And please let us stretch more. Push up into the blocks, pull both legs inward like we did in the low lunge. Squeezing the glutes for 3, 2. Big breath in. Exhale, relax, heel toe out. See if you've got a little bit more space. Find that next range where you feel safe but kind of stretching. Make sure the hips are squared. Pull up for 3, 2, contracting the legs, lifting the pelvic floor, big breath in. Exhale, sink, and then you may be able to work down where you don't need the blocks. Keep going. 3, 2, breath in. Just telling the brain how safe we are. So when you get down to your full split, stay there, breathe. You know, the safest way to abort from this is to come off to the side so you don't put pressure on that knee or that hip. So if you start to freak out, lean over to the side, bring that leg out of it. But once you're in it, this is why it's so important to have the squared pelvis, because if you were rotated open to sneak into this posture, kind of cheat into it, you're not at a safe angle for the different hips to then bend the back leg or to fold in the front leg. So practicing these safe cues allows you then to add on to your full split expression, like bending forward or bending the back leg, working towards king pigeon or another split expression. Always come out of splits just as slow as you went into them, and because there's such a deep flexion on one side of the hip and a deep extension on the other side of the hip, try to reset the spine and allow your body to feel safe and secure after the movement. Maybe some light lumbar extensions, pulling the legs back towards the pelvic floor with breath. This is a very deep and transformative posture. Please be safe, please be cautious with it. Use those cues to get as close as you can each session. It's not something you can contract and relax your way to full expression. It's taken me a lot of years to get there, and I also lose splits when I have not properly strengthened at the gym, when I haven't been lifting, and my hips and my glutes are not as strong as they could be. So stabilize through here before you expect the hamstrings, the adductors, and the legs to express their full flexibility. Give this a shot, shoot me a message or some feedback if you have any questions. Be careful and have a great night.